gratifying. And I think the work that you guys do, it must be nice to be able to wake up out of bed and know that you're making such an impact in people's lives. And for me personally, what I was so proud of is that going in, had all these water guard tablets, about 1.2 million that were set to expire. The lunch didn't take off so well. There was about 5,300 units per month that were going out through distribution. So there was a lot that was set to expire. So when the cholera outbreak took place, we really took advantage of making sure to find core partners like UNICEF, World Vision, to strategically go out into the soup kitchens and different areas to get this product out. So yeah, that was one thing if I take away one thing that was so, made me so happy at the end of the day is this partnership, because over the next 2 years, 40,000 children would have safe water over the next 2 years. It's not something I get to say every day at Pfizer, in my normal job. So it made this big impact. And then in the HIV epidemic side, got to use the skill with video and photography to help larger scale media see kind of the work that PSI is doing through the Love Test campaign, and as well, as you know, scaling up the male circumcision clinics in Swaziland, I'm sure in a lot of other areas as well. A 4-star general came in who we were trying to raise capital and awareness of what is taking place in Swaziland with the male circumcision side. So they were able to create a documentary with that, and then of course the exposure, the PR for both PSI and Pfizer with the Swazi TV show. So we were able to do a lot of media events. So in terms of the impact, that's what took place in Swaziland. And for me professionally, when I returned, I felt like a celebrity at Pfizer. As a guy like myself didn't get to go and sit in office with the senior vice president and kind of debrief on this stuff. And you walk in, and I kind of kept everybody up to date at Pfizer, what was going on, and it was kind of a big welcome party coming back. And so for me, it really gave a lot of exposure to senior level people at Pfizer, and then it also gave me leadership opportunities. So Gerhard Hahn, he was a STAR alum that worked with PSI as a Global Health Fellow previously. He's the director of global malaria for Pfizer in Latin America. And so I was able to secure a secondment with his team. So on giving pricing recommendations on a launch of a new malaria drug, urartism, in the continent of Africa. So I was in charge of, essentially I took the skills that I learned from PSI. I would have never had this opportunity without working with PSI, and help with pricing, develop, because of cross-border pricing and kind of the issues there, help with kind of the marketing side, the branding, just kind of knowing how we market in spazas and how we communicate with the customer and kind of the positioning of the brand. So I was able to help his team of brilliant consultants and VPs, and little Neil Piper comes in and is able to do this stuff. So it really opened these doors that I would have never had without having the opportunity to work with you all and through this program. And then every year we have this, or every 6 months, I guess it'll be every year now, we have this big event where all the fellows come in New York, and a lot of senior VPs and about 75 global leaders come in, and they have one honorary speaker per year, and I was fortunate to be selected to be that person that year. And then lastly, as Max mentioned, I was elected this past year as the president of the Global Health Fellow alum. So previously we have 270 fellows that have all this experience, but there's not a formal group that leverages that knowledge and know-how, and there's power in that, right? So we developed from the ground up this big formal group called the Global Health Fellows Network, and as you can see, it's a big mission, but I think it's a worthy one. It's to utilize kind of what we were saying, the expertise of Global Health Fellow alum, and really serving as a resource to Pfizer business at large, and help and bring that back to Pfizer so that we can figure out new ways to kind of build infrastructure through Pfizer and the products that we have. And so we have a big formal setup. Una is our program manager at Pfizer. She leads the Global Health Fellows team, and so she's kind of a mentor. She kind of oversees the network, and then we have different chairs. So each chair has 10 people in a committee. So for instance, the steering committee, they're in charge of creating speaker series. So Pfizer business leaders can come in and dial in and listen to different topics that a fellow alum would like to talk about that might help Pfizer business leaders expand the business that they are in charge of. So for instance, our round support committee, that's somebody who prior to leaving, we have a big training to prepare us to leave on fellowships, but we have some alum that come in, but now we can really connect alums. So maybe alum that work with PSI, provide these resources to them prior to them leaving so that they're not recreating things over and over again. And then as well, when fellows come back, we transition them back into the network so that it's really challenging coming back when, like we were saying, there's this fulfillment of being able to have this hands-on experience and seeing that you're making an impact. And then coming back to our normal role, it's just a different approach, right? You don't get the hands-on side. It's all business level, and so that's what round support does. So I wanted to kind of just share with you guys, and these actually weren't necessarily created by me. I think Jennifer and Mac probably put these out there as well, but there's some things that I think could be good opportunities for you guys. Is one with the brown bag lunch. I think these are important for fellows to come back in. However, those could be limited based on budgets, on whether it's Pfizer or PSI budget. But I think they're great, having a person coming in. But I think even leveraging teleconferences or video conferences. And then I hear that you guys have maybe a social online intranet that maybe even, let's say like I come back, using me as an example, there's 18 now fellows that work with PSI. But so I have experience in the sales and marketing side. So I have these